Have you ever met someone so drunk on a tiny sliver of authority that you almost want to laugh until you realize they have the power to make your life hell? Yeah, that's exactly how I wound up in the crosshairs of Brenda Queen of the Whispering Pines HOA, and in her mind, absolute monarch of my peace and quiet. My only crime was buying my dream cabin, a little A-frame by the lake, thinking I could finally put the headaches of corporate finance behind me, just fishing, reading, breathing easy for once. But Brenda, she had other plans, and let me tell you, the only thing louder than her voice across the lake was her ego. Now, when I say she showed up on my porch one Saturday, clipboard in hand, and HOA logo practically screaming across her polo, I'm not kidding. She informed me didn't ask. Mind you that she needed a copy of my cabin keys for annual safety and compliance. I tried to keep it civil, told her straight up, there's no bylaw, no state law, nothing that gives her the right to poke around inside my house. That little mask of neighborly courtesy she wore dropped right off her face. Suddenly she's announcing to the trees and the ducks that my non-compliance would be duly noted and fined. I almost laughed. But what Brenda didn't know was that my day job dismantling people who thought they were above the rules had taught me a thing or two. She thought her clipboard was a shield. I saw it as a gauntlet thrown. Sure enough, 48 hours later, a white envelope showed up on my door. Not a neighborly welcome note, a notice of violation for refusing her inspection, citing some fake rule from a non-existent bylaw addendum. $500 fine plus $50 a day. Ballsy. Illegal, too. But that was just the start, the thread that once you pull it unravels the whole ugly sweater. See, my first move wasn't to throw punches, it was to go by the book. I sent her a certified letter calmly referencing the actual HOA covenants, quoting the relevant property access laws, pointing out the board's limited authority. Her answer: another envelope, this time a violation for my grass being a 1/4 inch too tall with another fine attached. That's when I knew logic wouldn't work. Brenda wasn't after good governance, she was after power. And she was stupid enough to put her petty war in writing, creating a whole file of evidence for me. So my quiet evenings by the fire turned into late nights at the laptop, combing through years of financials on the HOA's portal. Budgets, expense reports, meeting minutes, master insurance policies, the works. Most people would be bored to tears. But for me, a spreadsheet is just a crime scene waiting to be solved. That's when things got interesting. $3,000 for seasonal planting, all paid to a new company called Lakeside Landscaping. Registered agent, one Gerald Finney. A couple clicks later, I learned Gerald was Brenda's husband. So she's funneling HOA funds to her husband's brand new business without any open disclosure or competitive bids, just a quick rubber stamp from a vague meeting minute. That alone would be enough for most people. But I knew this kind of pettiness is usually just the surface of something deeper. I kept digging, tracking every vendor, every receipt. The real bombshell: a vendor named Superior Solutions billing over $80,000 in 2 years for repairs. Nobody could see. Peeling paint, cracked pool tiles, sagging fences, and invoices, always just under the amount requiring multiple bids. Guess who owned Superior Solutions? Brenda herself. She didn't even bother to hide the name. Now, this wasn't just conflict of interest, this was fraud. And it got better. The HOA's insurance policy, the thing that was supposed to protect everyone if the board got sued, specifically voided itself for any willful misconduct or fraud. So not only was Brenda cashing out on her neighbors, she was putting everyone's home and savings at risk, operating with zero real safety net, all because she thought no one would look. At that point, it wasn't just about her, it was about Pinnacle Management Group, the company paid to oversee the HOA who'd been processing all those checks with their eyes shut. Either they were in on it, or they were criminally negligent. I built a forensic report, laid out all the evidence, receipts, screenshots, timelines, until there was no denying it. So what do you do when you've got the truth and a whole community of people being fleeced? You force the truth into the daylight. In the bylaws, I found the golden ticket, a clause saying a special meeting could be called if 25% of homeowners signed a petition. That became my mission. Clipboard in hand, flannel on my back, I went door to door, talking up concerns about rising fees and transparency. Most folks were fed up with Brenda already, and by sunset, I had well over the signatures needed. Once the meeting was set, I sent invites to Pinnacle Management Cynthia Davies, our community manager, and her boss, Alistair Finch, the regional head. I kept it professional, just seeking clarity on budget and vendor oversight. Didn't tip my hand. They accepted, thinking they'd breeze in, calm some upset homeowners, and head out for dinner. Those 3 weeks leading up to the meeting, Brenda didn't disappoint. One more fine for trash cans left out past pickup. Another email full of passive-aggressive reminders. I just filed every notice away as Exhibit DEF. The morning of the meeting, the clubhouse filled up fast. Brenda arrived in full battle dress, flanked by her husband and the remaining board loyalists, acting like she was about to preside over her own coronation. I started my presentation calm and polite, thanking everyone for coming, especially our guests from Pinnacle. Then I got right to the numbers. Maintenance costs up 94% in 2 years, nearly all going to Superior Solutions. Slide by slide, I walked everyone through the ledger, the invoices, the photos showing repairs that were never done, and the business registry screenshot proving Brenda herself owned the company. The room was dead silent for a second, then exploded with whispers and gasps. Brenda jumped to her feet, shouting about slander, fake photos, a personal vendetta. But I wasn't done. Next came the landscaping scam, HOA money paid straight to her husband's pocket again, with no disclosure. Then the insurance slide, the policy voided for exactly the kind of fraud Brenda was knee-deep in. So I said, looking at the crowd, if you're wondering what this means, it's simple. Our entire community has been at risk for years, uninsured and robbed by the very person supposed to protect us. The kill shot wasn't just about her greed, but the risk to everyone's property value and savings. I turned to Alistair Finch, Pinnacle's big boss. Can you promise this community your company will cover the financial fallout from the failures you've overseen? The man turned pale, stood up, and did what any corporate exec does when the walls close in. He took charge. Right there, he suspended. Brenda demanded she turn over all records and announced Pinnacle would assume direct control, calling for an emergency election and an outside audit. Brenda's face pure humiliation. She and her husband slunk out as fast as they could, chased by a chorus of jeers. The community, meanwhile, rallied around me, finally seeing that the real fight was about their money, not just my grass. The audit done by a firm I recommended confirmed every detail and uncovered even more shady expenses. Brenda and her husband were hit with a demand for repayment when they refused. Pinnacle sued and went straight to the authorities. By spring, Brenda was charged with felony theft. Her little empire didn't just fall, it was incinerated. Things at Whispering Pines changed almost overnight. New transparent protocols, real maintenance, monthly financials emailed to everyone. For the first time in years, people actually felt like they had a say in their own neighborhood. I could have run for the board, folks asked me to, but I turned it down. I never wanted power, just peace. Brenda, for her part, was finished. Civil suit, criminal charges, forced to sell her house at a loss, shunned by everyone. The only thing that followed her now was contempt and a paper trail straight to her door. Pinnacle, desperate to save face, refunded my bogus fines with an apology letter. But the real win wasn't the money. It was seeing one person standing up, forcing a whole corrupt system to change. I tell you, sitting out on my porch that fall, the lake finally quiet, I realized sometimes to have peace, you've got to go to war. But not with shouting or anger, just the truth. A spreadsheet, and an unbreakable commitment to what's right. Never underestimate the quiet person in the room. They just might be the one who knows how to read the fine print. So let me ask you, what little injustice are you tolerating because it seems too hard to fight? Maybe it's time you looked a little closer. Sometimes the power you need is just a plan away. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Let's hear it. Where's the line between standing up for yourself and letting things slide? Share your take in the comments, and let's talk about what real community justice should look like.